Welcome to the working title of Coco Crowns and Chit-Chat, brought to you by TCM Coaching, the crowning moment helping you achieve excellence one moment at a time. I am Erin Husbands.
And I'm Sophie.
Welcome to Season 1, Episode 1, The Pilot. And of course, if you have any edits, contributions, and or feedback, please feel free to email them to info@thecrowningmoment.com. Now, as of today, we are recording this on December 12th, 2022, very close to Christmas. So, Sophie, what Christmas plans are you looking forward to?
My family is coming over for Christmas Eve, and we're getting in our pajamas and having a cereal bar.
I love this idea. Yeah. So what types of cereals are you hoping makes it on the cereal bar?
Fruity Pebbles.
Bad plan. Do you already have your Christmas tree and everything put up at your house?
I do not. We actually ordered 3 fake trees, 2 of which did not make it to my porch, but 1 did.
Oh, but in more breaking news, there's a lot of things happening right now in the pageant world, I have to say. Since it is December the 12th, we bring this up because though you might be listening at this much farther in the future, today is the first day of preliminary competition for the Miss America organization. I think finals are going to be December the 15th, but everything is going to be live streamed on pageantslive.com. So if you have a subscription, that should already be included in your monthly subscription. You should not have to pay anything more. But that is happening this week. Did you know it was happening?
I had no idea.
Yeah, so unless you actually knew someone going, which I do know our current Miss Louisiana, Gracie Reisman, I know because I've been following the family and her year as well. But most people did not. Actually did a poll this morning on Facebook asking, did you know it was even taking place? Did you know it was still around? Do you even know where to go to find it? Because it is no longer on network TV and has not been that way for a couple of years now. And then, of course, what were some likes or dislikes with the new 2.0 change? Most people, unfortunately, have lost interest and do not feel that Miss America organization is relevant anymore. It is a scholarship opportunity for women to earn money towards their education or further their career. The connectedness with the organization sadly has been left by the wayside as they went through all of these drastic changes. After 100 years of Miss America, it's really just kind of lost its luster. But the other thing really big happening is happening right in your backyard.
The Miss Universe competition. We actually didn't even know that tickets went on sale, and we live in the state.
And she lives closer to actual New Orleans than I do here in Baton Rouge. But yes, Miss Universe will be held January 14th in New Orleans, Louisiana. Preliminaries will be held, I believe it's on January the 11th, whatever that Wednesday is.
11th.
The 11th.
And then the 14th is finals.
14th is finals. So we will be attending finals and dress rehearsal earlier that same day on the 14th. We're very excited about it. I think it was Monday afternoon at that time. The tickets were completely sold out. So the event is sold out. You are not getting tickets unless you're going to sell a kidney or 2 or the firstborn that you might have to get tickets to go to this event. It is sold out. This is the first time it's going to be directed under the new owner and the first time with their new eligibility rules for still women between the ages of 18 to 28. But now those women can be married and also have children. If those countries of representation decided to allow those individuals within that age bracket and eligibility to compete, if they crowned that winner, then that winner obviously is eligible to continue on to Miss Universe. I do have the honor of working with a delegate who is going to be the first, or one of the first, to enter as a Mrs. with a beautiful little one who will be competing at Louisiana USA as a part of this new eligibility bracket. So I'm interested in seeing how this expands the delegate pool. I'm also interested in seeing how the public receives this new change, if they're even aware of it, and how it may or may not play a factor in judging and consideration on the representatives that they choose to go on to the next round. But speaking of new trends, let's talk about makeup.
One trend that I would love to see more of, and I saw a lot in the summer season this past year, was the blue eyeliner. And I like it in the waterline. It can be used as a graphic liner. Nothing too bold. I would love to continue to see this in other systems. But another thing I love is the cranberry and mauve eyeshadow. I would like to see it in more styles, and I think it's great and diverse for all skin tones. I'm a very fair person and I have green eyes, so it makes my eyes pop, but I also like to use highlighter to brighten my eyes, and I think that it's often misused color-wise. Most people use the white eyeliner to brighten. I like to use a champagne or cream color, but I think if you have tan skin, white is really, really pretty.
I know you spoke a little bit about different skin tones with your makeup, but tanning is also a great way to enhance your skin tone whenever you are competing. So here are a few quick tips on tanning do's and tanning don'ts. Now, when I talk with new tanning clients, I always address their first concern that they may or may not ever say out loud, but I know they're thinking about it, and that is, I don't want to turn orange. Well, something I've definitely learned firsthand from tanning and working with a lot of other professional tanners and just learning from them as well, it's that it's not the solution or the sprayer that turns you orange. It's what you do or what you don't do that turns your own skin orange. So these are things that you can do to prevent your own skin from turning orange just as much as we as professional tanners do to also try to prevent this from happening. So first off, you want to make sure you exfoliate in a timely manner. Now, when I say timely manner, I mean 24 to 48 hours before your tan. Not the morning of, not a few hours before. That is a huge no-no. Do not do this. Your tanner is going to tell you, I'm sorry, you are not getting tan today. If you do need to shave your legs and things like that, make sure you're doing that at the time as you exfoliate, but not very close to your actual tan. You need to be dry for 4 to 6 hours before your tan, and that does include, of course, going to work out and going to spas and things like that. Make sure you are not using any lotions or soaps, especially those with parabens, the day of. So if you're washing your hair, make sure you do that the night before, well up away from your tan time. And of course, be very careful with deodorants. You will see a lot of the deodorants with aluminum in it that end up turning your armpits green whenever you tan and rinse off the next day. So make sure you are taking very careful of that. And make sure you take off all your makeup before you get your spray tan, unless you don't plan to tan your face, and that's actually a very common practice at competitions. Your makeup artists do ask you to not have your face sprayed or a very, very light mist, because sometimes their makeup on top of a tan looks really awkward and unnatural. So make sure you verify that with your hair and makeup artist. Having worked with several of the hair and makeup artists throughout nationals and internationals, I pretty much know their style. So I do verify with the tanning client who is your hair and makeup person, and when they say it is team X or team Y, I know right away whether they do or do not, or how small of a mist they will allow on their makeup clients' faces. So do your homework just as well as we do ours, so that way we can help prevent any orange turning. Some things not to do: don't get hot and sweaty. So you need to sleep basically in a freezer, because if you get hot and sweaty, your tan is going to streak and there's nothing I can do about it. Be careful when you're washing your hands or even brushing your teeth, because all that extra moisture on your hands and or your face is going to cause a lot of splotchiness, and that is going to be very difficult, if not impossible, to fix the next morning outside of having to do a lot of makeup tricks.
One thing I like to do is I always buy my wardrobe for pageants secondhand. And one way I love doing that is through Facebook groups. You can be super specific as to what you want. Another way I like to get my wardrobe is thrift shopping. I've gotten so many of my interview suits as well as check-in outfits there. And I feel like there's such a stigma, because most people see thrift shops as maybe dirty or not keeping up with the trends, but I love to upcycle things and I'm always down for a challenge. Also, apps like Queenly or Poshmark are great because you can negotiate prices, but Facebook groups are always my go-to.
Speaking of fabrics though, as a professional steamer, there are tons of different styles of fabrics that I run to every single time I'm at a pageant. I have my favorite styles of fabrics that work really well for travel, for steaming, and they look great on stage, whether it's flowy or dynamic. But I also have, a little pocket of fabrics that I absolutely despise. I feel like they're my arch nemesis of fabrics at pageants. Some of the fabrics I really enjoy are silk organza and chiffon. These, though they do wrinkle quite easily, they're very easy to steam out. The time to have these outfits prepared are very, very short, and a quick touch-up takes less than 5 to 10 minutes. So those are some of my favorite fabrics to work with. Satins are not terrible because they don't wrinkle as harshly, but it does take a significantly longer time to prepare them when steaming. You have to go from on top and underneath the fabrics to make sure that the wrinkles are out on both sides. Otherwise, it will continue to look not prepared well. But some tips to give you from the steaming perspective is that when you have a brand new dress that you just bought off the rack at a dress store or ordered in from somewhere else, before you go to have alterations done, it is the most important thing for you to do is get this dress steamed. The fabrics are going to fall anywhere between 1 inch to 2 inches or more, depending on the weight of the fabric after it is steamed. So allow the fabric time to stretch through steaming and then bring it in for alterations, because I cannot tell you how many times parents have bought me a brand new dress still with tags on, fresh from alterations, and I know that dress is going to stretch just because of the material or it being the first time it's steamed, and now they have to figure out a way to get it altered appropriately in a short period of time to be ready on stage. Silk organza is known to do that a little bit. Chiffon, very, very rarely that happens, but satin is 100% going to do that, especially if it has a lot of heavy stones or jewel work on it. It's going to stretch anywhere between 2 to 3.5 inches, so be very mindful of that. The other arch nemesis of fabrics that I have is like the raw silk. I call it the paper fabric. It looks wrinkled. The wrinkled is in the fabric. There's no way that is coming out, and if you over steam it and get it too saturated with water, it's going to stretch. It's going to be a hot mess. You're going to actually put more wrinkles into this material. This is a material that I actually stopped taking. It never looks great on stage because you breathe in it, it's wrinkled. You look at it funny, it's wrinkled. It's just a nightmare. It doesn't translate well on stage. It just never becomes unwrinkled. Parents get very frustrated. Unless you have 4 or 5 days to spend on it doing it in small periods of time, it's never going to look great. Look at some other options to see if there's another fabric that would make your outfit look a little bit better, but I would definitely think twice on that paper fabric or the raw silk style. But speaking of tanning and steaming, lucky for you, TCM Coaching does offer those services on site at any of your state, local, national, and international pageants. TCM Steaming with the Queen of Steam herself, providing you national and international level tanning and steaming for all of your pageant needs. So make sure to check us out. We've been working several years now with different systems in preparing their national and international queens. So we look forward to working once again with USA National Miss, International United Miss, USA Ambassador, and more. For more information, please feel free to contact us online and social media or email us at info@thecrowningmoment.com. So now Sophie is going to take it away with one of our interviews with Jean Morin. Sophie?
Hi, so today I have the pleasure of interviewing Jean Morin, who is our Teen Miss Sweet Magnolia from Prairieville, Louisiana. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing great. So this is your first ever pageant you're competing in. You're in prep for Teen Louisiana USA. Mm-hmm. How do you feel about it?
I'm a little nervous, but overall I'm excited because the more I just connect with people who are in the pageant world, the more I realize that there's really nothing to be nervous about, and it's just like an experience where you have to grow and learn, and I'm excited.
So what made you want to compete?
I have seen a couple of girls online who would just talk about pageants, and they kind of got me out of that stereotype that pageant girls are snobby and everything, and I was like, oh, this is really nice just because of the community service aspects and how uplifting all these girls seemed. So that's just kind of how I got the feeling that, like, this is meant for me. I want to do this.
So speaking of stereotypes, what were you most surprised to learn after entering the pageant world?
I was surprised. Honestly, I was surprised that the girls were as uplifting as they were, because, like, again, like, going into it, I seriously just thought that these girls were going to be so mean and that it was all about winning and who was prettiest, and they're all really, really sweet. Like, every single one I've ever met has been an angel.
Did you ever see yourself competing in a pageant?
When I was younger, yeah, I did. Because I would go into my mom's closet and I would try on all of her dresses and her heels and everything. And she was like, you're going to be in pageants when you're older. And I was like, okay. So here I am.
Full circle moment. I love that. So you are very passionate about the environment and
Yes.
educating those on the issues that are affecting our planet. As a Louisiana resident, what would you say the biggest environmental issue is in our state?
So for us currently, I would say honestly that it's air pollution, just because we have so many factories down here, and I'm sure that you've heard of it, it's this thing called Cancer Alley, and it's this specific area, and if you live in it, you're like twice as likely to get cancer, and it's crazy. And you can't really do anything about that, honestly, just because it's air pollution, and that's mostly from companies. But I think that just like pollution with trash in general is pretty bad, because if you drive anywhere, there's trash all along the streets, and that's why they have the adopt your own road and stuff like that. So
What was an eco fact that surprised you?
So for fast fashion, it takes over 80 years for each article of clothing to break down. And I was like, wow, because when I think of clothes, I'm like, oh yeah, that'll take like a year. Like you can burn that and it's ashes. You can't do that. You can't just go into a landfill and burn everything. So especially for fast fashion, like there's millions and millions of clothes coming in, and they just sit there for over 80 years, like our entire lifetime.
So instead of buying online or in regular stores, how can we get our clothing or avoid fast fashion brands?
Honestly, even if you try as hard as you can to avoid fast fashion, it's pretty much in everything. So at least minimize your purchases with fast fashion. And maybe you can buy from boutiques that are very honest about what they do and they're very open. And try to avoid companies that kind of have a greenhouse effect on people, and research where you buy your clothes.
So I have to ask, because it was a really hard challenge for my family to adjust to the greener lifestyle too, and they are still having an issue with it. Was your family like that, or were they up to adjusting to this lifestyle?
My dad was pretty adamant about getting into like a greener lifestyle, because ever since he was a kid, he's also been passionate about that. So I guess that's kind of where I got my passion for it from. But my mom was fine with it. Like we all kind of adjusted very quickly because we all knew how bad it was.
Well, thank you so much for your time. It was honestly, I love this interview. It was great. I had a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you so much. That was John Warren, our Teen Miss Sweet Magnolia, who will be competing at Teen Louisiana USA in February.
Sophie, you're getting really good at these interviews.
I know.
That's amazing. Look at you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear more. So yeah. So before we wrap up, we have one more segment for today, and it is learning about new pageant systems. With the new year coming up, there are tons of new systems making their way into your pageant interested bubble. But it got us to thinking about one of the systems that was supposed to take place in New Orleans. We will not name the system directly, but it was supposed to take place in October, and unfortunately it had been pushed back. We had yet to find the newly announced dates for this new national system. Now, it had never taken place before. They had gotten some representatives to be their inaugural set of queens, but when checking on this system, we learned that the website has expired.
Yes.
It is no longer up, and I know we made contact. For me, it was about a month ago. I think you tried contacting them too.
2 months ago, yes. It's a little sketchy.
We have not heard back from them. We knew of some delegates who were supposed to compete, and they have also withdrawn. But it got us to thinking, like, did these delegates get a refund? Now, what about these sponsors that they had been trying to, because they had asked me a few times if I wanted to sponsor, though I never had committed to anything. The dates were not good for me. But what about the sponsors who went the extra mile to have things printed to give to these girls? Like, who's going to refund them all that they were giving to this organization for free? I wonder how that's going to be handled or well received to potentially get sponsors again in the future. But that got me to thinking, there are a lot of things that go into play when you're looking for a new system. I like to do some Instagram stalking. I love to do my research as well. I like to see what their social media presence is. Is it active? Is it engaging? Are they providing content that I feel like I can relate to? Did they just get a whole bunch of group of girls to pose for pictures to make it look like it's some deep sisterhood, or are they using real live pageant girls that are more known to the system to kind of create a connectedness? I also look at their website first to see if it's not expired, to see if it's active, but I also look at their website to learn more about their aesthetic. What does the aesthetic of their website tell me? Are they fresh and modern? Did they copy and paste the template from Wix.com? Did someone spend a lot of time in building this? I also look if they have their contact information on there. The eligibility rules and birthday cutoff rules are there. The scoring, the required competitions and optionals. And of course, if they have any information on handbooks or even pricing. And if it doesn't answer all of my questions, I then reach out to the director. From here, I'm testing to see their communication. Are they prompt? Do they wait a couple of days? What type of information are they providing me? Are they referring me back to their website? Are they giving me a copy of the handbook? Or are they only answering questions based on what I've asked? And some systems prefer to reserve the right to hand out their handbook to their registered delegates, which is perfectly fine. And one of the new systems that are coming out next year that we're quite interested in and excited about is called International Miss by the director, Kristen Hill. It will be held in Denver, Colorado, but looking on their website at internationalmiss.org, I am able to see the age brackets, the birthday cutoff, which is May 1st, the location, and of course the required competition events. Now, the things that I did not learn from their website are the style of interview. Is it a round robin or is it a private panel? And what is the time limit for the interviews? Are they using a bio or is it a paperless interview? They also have an introduction, but it doesn't tell me how long the introduction, the maximum time, or if there are any specifics that need to be included in this introduction. And it also does not tell me the weight or percentages of each of these competitions. Now, granted, they have a fun fashion evening wear introduction to interview, so my assumption is all 25% equally weighted, but of course, I'm just assuming instead of having it in writing, which is something I like to do. Check it out to see if it's something great for you. They go to 25 years of age or even the little ones. The pageant is May 31st through June the 4th. You can find out all the information at internationalmiss.org. Well, wrapping up, I know the holidays, like you said, is a dress rehearsal for you.
Yes, I like to consider it a dress rehearsal because you get all your fancy clothes Christmas morning, so why not consider Christmas dinner your dress rehearsal?
One of the tips that I like to use for the holidays is taking every picture as a moment that it's a photo shoot. Make sure you're sitting with good posture, staying in cute pageant pose. You never know which is going to be your best side until you try all the sides, but use it as a good time to pose for all of the many pictures you'll be taking over the course of the new year. So for more pageant tips, info, and of course, living the pageant life, be sure to check us out on social media at TCM_coaching and on Facebook at The Crowning Moment. This is Erin.
And this is Sophie.
See you next time for more crowns and chit-chat.